The screaming starts before Michael even finishes backing out of the driveway. "Stop the car! Michael, stop right now!" His wife Tanya's voice tears through the morning silence with such raw terror that his foot slams the brake instinctively. The coffee in the cup holder splashes onto the center console. His heart hammers against his ribcage as he whips his head toward her. "What? What's wrong?" he gasps, scanning her face for signs of injury or pain. But Tanya isn't looking at him. Her eyes are locked on something outside, wide with panic, her hands pressed against the passenger window like she's trying to push through the glass itself. Her breathing comes in short, desperate gasps. "We can't leave. Michael, please, we cannot leave this house right now." Michael follows her gaze but sees nothing unusual, just their quiet suburban street bathed in early morning light. The Henderson sprinklers across the road. Old Mrs. Patterson walking her terrier. The same scene they've witnessed 1,000 Tuesday mornings. "Tanya, what are you talking about? We're already late for the appointment. Dr. Morrison's office is 40 minutes away and—" "I don't care about the appointment." Her scream is so loud it seems to rattle the windows. "Turn this car around right now." If you've ever witnessed someone you love in inexplicable panic, you know exactly how this moment feels. Before we continue with what happens next, I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button right now because stories like this, real, raw, and absolutely shocking, are what we bring you every single day. And smash that like button because this story is about to take you on an emotional roller coaster you won't forget. Also, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Are you in New York, London, Lagos? I want to know where my amazing viewers are tuning in from. Now, back to Michael and Tanya. Michael's confusion morphs into concern. In their 12 years of marriage, he's never heard his wife sound like this. Tanya is the calm one, the rational one, the woman who talks him down from his own anxieties. But right now, she looks utterly unhinged. "Honey, you're scaring me. What's going on?" He reaches for her hand, but she jerks away, still pressed against her window. "Just trust me. Please, Michael, if you love me at all, turn this car around and go back inside." A car horn blares behind them. Michael glances in the rearview mirror to see their neighbor Jim waiting to get past their driveway. He waves apologetically and pulls back into the garage, his mind racing. The moment the car stops, Tanya fumbles with her seatbelt, her fingers trembling so violently she can barely press the release button. She practically falls out of the car, stumbling toward the door that leads back into the house. "Tanya!" Michael kills the engine and hurries after her. "Tanya, stop! Talk to me!" She's already inside, pacing back and forth in the kitchen, her hands buried in her hair. When she turns to face him, tears stream down her cheeks. "We can't leave. Not today. Not at 10:15. We can't." Michael stands in the doorway, completely lost. "The doctor's appointment is at 11. We've been waiting 3 months for this consultation. You know how important this is." "I know. Don't you think I know?" Her voice breaks. "But something terrible will happen if we leave right now. I can feel it, Michael. I can feel it in my bones." This is when Michael's patience begins to fray. They've been trying to have a baby for 4 years. 4 long, heartbreaking years of negative tests, failed treatments, and mounting medical bills. This appointment with Dr. Morrison, one of the country's top fertility specialists, represents their last real hope. And Tanya wants to cancel because of a feeling. "Tanya, this is ridiculous. You're having a panic attack or something. Let me get you some water." "I am not having a panic attack," she shouts. "Why won't you believe me? Why won't you just listen? Because you're not making any sense." Michael's voice rises to match hers. "You can't even tell me what you think is going to happen." Tanya opens her mouth, then closes it. She looks away and something flickers across her face, something that looks almost like guilt. "I just know," she whispers. "Please don't make me explain. Just trust me." But Michael can't trust this, not when so much is at stake. He thinks about the months of carefully timed attempts, the countless injections Tanya has endured, the way her face falls every time she sees a pregnancy announcement on social media. He thinks about the hope in her eyes when they finally got this appointment. "We're going," he says firmly. "Get back in the car." "No." "Tanya, I said no!" She backs away from him, her eyes wild. "I won't get in that car. You can't make me." Michael feels something snap inside him. Frustration, fear, confusion. They all boil over at once. "Fine. You know what? Fine. Stay here then." He grabs his keys from the counter. "I'll go to the appointment myself, explain that my wife has lost her mind, and maybe, just maybe, Dr. Morrison will still be willing to work with us after this complete disaster." He storms toward the garage, expecting Tanya to call him back, to apologize, to be the reasonable person he married. But she doesn't. When he glances back, she's standing completely still in the middle of their kitchen, tears flowing freely down her face, looking at him with an expression he'll replay in his mind for months to come. It's not anger. It's not fear. It's resignation. Like she's watching something inevitable unfold. Like she already knows how this story ends. "Michael," she says softly, "I'm begging you. Please don't go." But he's too angry, too hurt by what feels like sabotage of their last chance at parenthood. He gets in the car, backs out of the driveway for the second time that morning, and drives away without looking back. The first 10 minutes of the drive are a blur of angry thoughts. How could she do this? What possessed her to act so irrationally? They've sacrificed so much for this opportunity, and she wants to throw it away because of some vague premonition? Michael's phone rings. Tanya. He declines the call. It rings again. Declines. A text message flashes on his car's display screen. "Please come back. Please." He ignores it, his jaw clenched so tight it aches. The highway is surprisingly clear for a Tuesday morning. Michael makes good time, his GPS showing an arrival at 10:58, just enough time to park and get inside. Maybe he can still salvage this. Maybe if he explains that Tanya is sick, that she couldn't make it but sends her apologies. His phone rings again. Not Tanya this time. His mother. Michael answers through the car's Bluetooth. "Mom, I really can't talk right now." "Michael, honey, I just got the strangest call from Tanya." His mother's voice is tight with worry. "She's absolutely hysterical. She says you're in danger, that something terrible is about to happen. What's going on?" "Nothing's going on, Mom. Tanya is she's having some kind of episode. I'm on my way to an important appointment. She asked me to call you. She's desperate, Michael. I've never heard her like this." "Well, join the club. Look, I have to go. I'll call you later." He ends the call before his mother can protest. Another text from Tanya. "Michael, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But please turn around. 10:15. That's when it happens. Please." Michael's grip tightens on the steering wheel. 10:15? What's supposed to happen at 10:15? He glances at the dashboard clock. 10:12. This is insane. His wife has completely lost it, and now she's got his mother involved, trying to manipulate him into coming back. Well, he's not falling for it. If you're still watching at this point, drop a comment with, "I'm enjoying this story." Let's see who's truly following this beautiful story. The highway curves ahead, and Michael follows it, passing a semi-truck loaded with lumber. The exit for Dr. Morrison's office is coming up in 2 miles. 10:13. His phone rings again. Tanya. He reaches to decline it, but hesitates. What if something really is wrong? What if she's sick, having some kind of breakdown? But no, if there was a real emergency, she'd call 911, not keep calling him. This is manipulation, pure and simple. He declines the call. 10:14. The exit sign appears ahead. Michael puts on his turn signal, preparing to move into the right lane. There's a silver sedan a few car lengths ahead of him, also signaling for the exit. His phone buzzes with another text, then another, and another. He can see them appearing on his display, but he refuses to read them. He can't let Tanya's irrational behavior derail something this important. 10:15. Michael is halfway through the lane change when he hears it, a sound like a cannon firing. The semi-truck he passed moments ago suddenly swerves wildly. Michael's eyes dart to his rearview mirror just in time to see the truck's tire explode in a spectacular burst of rubber. Everything happens so fast. The truck jackknifes, its trailer swinging wide across 3 lanes of highway. The silver sedan ahead of Michael slams on its brakes. Michael hits his brakes too, his car skidding, tires screaming against asphalt. But he's going too fast. The exit ramp. He was focused on the exit ramp. His car shoots past the sedan, past the exit, and he realizes with crystalline clarity that he's now directly in the path of the jackknifing truck. Time seems to slow down. He can see the lumber in the truck's trailer, massive beams that are shifting, breaking free from their restraints. He can see other cars scattering like frightened birds, desperately trying to avoid the catastrophe unfolding. Michael yanks his steering wheel hard to the left, but there's a car there. He swerves right, but the truck's trailer is swinging toward him like a massive pendulum. And then he sees it, a gap, a tiny space between 2 cars. If he can just... He floors the accelerator and aims for that gap, his heart in his throat, Tanya's face flashing through his mind. The truck's trailer misses his rear bumper by inches. He can feel the displacement of air as tons of steel swing past him. A piece of lumber bounces off the highway and crashes against his passenger side window, spider-webbing the glass but not breaking through. Michael makes it through. Somehow, impossibly, he makes it through. He pulls onto the shoulder, his hands shaking so violently he can barely keep his grip on the wheel. Behind him, the highway has become a disaster scene. The jackknifed truck, cars scattered and stopped. But no collisions, no injuries that he can see. Just chaos and destruction that he barely escaped. 10:16. Tanya's warning echoes in his mind. 10:15. That's when it happens. She knew. Somehow, impossibly, Tanya knew. Michael sits on the shoulder for what feels like an eternity, but is probably only seconds, watching emergency vehicles begin to arrive at the scene behind him. The sound of sirens fills the air. Police, ambulances, fire trucks all converging on the jackknifed semi-truck that nearly killed him. His phone rings. Tanya. This time his hand trembles as he answers. Michael? Her voice is thick with tears and relief. Michael, are you okay? Please tell me you're okay. I'm alive. The words feel strange in his mouth. Tanya, how did you know? How could you possibly have known? She's crying so hard she can barely speak. Are you hurt? Please tell me you're not hurt. I'm fine. Shaken up, but fine. Tanya, answer me. How did you know this was going to happen? There's a long silence on the other end. Michael can hear her breathing, trying to compose herself. Can you come home? She finally asks. Please? I'll explain everything, I promise. Just, please come home. Michael looks at the dashboard clock. 10:18. His appointment was at 11. He should call Dr. Morrison's office, explain the situation. But suddenly that appointment, the thing that seemed so crucial just 15 minutes ago, feels insignificant compared to the mystery of his wife's impossible knowledge. I'm coming, he says. I'll be there soon. The drive home is the longest 40 minutes of Michael's life. His mind races with possibilities, each more bizarre than the last. Did Tanya have inside knowledge of the truck's maintenance schedule? Did she somehow sabotage it? But that's crazy. Tanya isn't capable of something like that. And even if she were, why would she? If you're still watching at this point, drop a comment with, I'm enjoying this story. Let's see who's truly following this beautiful story. When he finally pulls into their driveway, Tanya is standing on the front porch, her arms wrapped around herself. She looks small and fragile in a way he's never seen before. The moment he gets out of the car, she runs to him, throwing her arms around his neck and sobbing into his shoulder. I'm so sorry, she keeps repeating. I'm so sorry. Michael holds her, his confusion mounting. Sorry for what? You tried to warn me. You tried to keep me safe. Tanya, what's going on? She pulls back, looking up at him with red, swollen eyes. Let's go inside, please. I need to show you something. They walk into the house in silence. Tanya leads him not to the living room or kitchen, but upstairs to their bedroom. She goes to her nightstand, opens the drawer, and pulls out a worn leather journal that Michael has never seen before. What is that? He asks. Tanya sits on the edge of their bed, clutching the journal to her chest like it might fly away. Michael, what I'm about to tell you is going to sound impossible. Insane even. But I need you to listen to the whole thing before you say anything. Can you do that for me? Michael nods, sitting beside her, his heart pounding. Tanya takes a deep breath. This journal, it was my grandmother's, my mother's mother, the one who died before you and I met. I remember you telling me about her. What I never told you, Tanya continues, is that my grandmother had a gift, or a curse, depending on how you look at it. She opens the journal, revealing pages filled with dates and handwritten notes. She could see things before they happened. Not all the time, not even most of the time, but sometimes she would get these visions, flashes of future events. Michael wants to interrupt, to tell her that's impossible, but he promised to listen. Everyone thought she was crazy, Tanya says softly. Even my mother. Grandma would have these episodes where she'd insist something terrible was going to happen, and when people didn't listen, when they couldn't listen because what she was saying seemed so impossible. She trails off, her voice breaking. There's an entry in here from 1985. She tried to warn her sister not to take a specific flight. Her sister thought she was having a mental breakdown and got on the plane anyway. It crashed. Everyone died. Michael feels cold suddenly, despite the warm house. Tanya. There are dozens of entries like this, Tanya interrupts, flipping through pages. Small things and big things. A neighbor's house fire. A car accident. Even her own husband's heart attack. She knew the exact day, tried to get him to see a doctor, but he refused. Thought she was being hysterical. Why are you telling me this? Michael asks, though he already knows the answer. Already feels it settling over him like a heavy blanket. Tanya's hands are shaking as she turns to face him fully. Because 3 months ago, it started happening to me. The words hang in the air between them. At first, I thought I was going crazy, Tanya continues quickly, as if afraid she'll lose her nerve if she stops. Little things, you know? I'd suddenly know that Jennifer from work was going to spill coffee on her shirt at exactly 2:30 p.m., that the grocery store would be out of your favorite cereal, that mom would call with news about dad's promotion. Small, insignificant things that I could easily dismiss as coincidence. Tanya. But then they got bigger, more specific, more terrifying. She opens the journal to a page near the end, where her own handwriting appears, neater than her grandmother's, but just as urgent. 2 weeks ago, I saw Mrs. Patterson's dog getting hit by a car. I saw the exact intersection, the exact time. I called her, made up some excuse about the dog needing to stay inside that day. She thought I was weird, but she listened. The next day, she told me she'd seen a car run a red light at that exact intersection at that exact time while she was driving past in her car. Michael's mind is reeling. This is, Tanya, you're telling me you can see the future? Not the future, she corrects. Not like that. It's not clear visions or anything. It's more like knowledge that suddenly appears in my head. Absolute certainty about something that's going to happen. I can't explain it better than that. Why didn't you tell me? Michael asks, and he hates how his voice sounds, accusatory when it should be understanding. Because I knew you wouldn't believe me. Tanya's eyes fill with fresh tears. Would you have believed me if I just told you? If I hadn't had proof? You would have thought I was having a breakdown, maybe tried to get me to see a psychiatrist. And maybe you'd have been right to think that. Maybe I am crazy. But the truck. 5 days ago, Tanya interrupts, I woke up at 3 in the morning with this overwhelming knowledge. Tuesday, October 17th, 10:15 a.m., Highway 52. You would be there when a semi-truck's tire exploded. I saw you swerving, saw the lumber, saw the jackknife, and I saw... She can't continue for a moment, overcome by sobs. I saw 2 possible outcomes. In one, you made it through. In the other, you didn't. Michael feels like the room is spinning. Tanya, I've been trying to figure out how to stop it all week. I thought maybe if I could get the car to break down, or if I got sick so you'd have to stay home with me. I even considered puncturing the tire last night, but I was afraid you'd just change it and go anyway. And then this morning I just panicked. I couldn't think of any other way to keep you home except to beg you, to scream at you, to make you think I'd lost my mind. You could have just told me, Michael says weakly. Would you have believed me? Be honest. Michael thinks about his reaction that morning, about his anger and frustration and certainty that Tanya was being irrational. No, he admits, I wouldn't have. They sit in silence for a long moment. Michael's mind struggles to process everything. His rational, scientific brain wants to reject it all, to find another explanation. Maybe Tanya heard something on the news about truck safety issues. Maybe she has anxiety so severe that she's having prophetic paranoia that occasionally aligns with real events by sheer chance. But then he remembers the certainty in her voice, the specific time, the exact scenario that played out. Show me the journal entry, he says quietly. Tanya flips to a page dated 5 days ago. In her handwriting, Michael reads, Tuesday, October 17th, 10:15 a.m., Highway 52, near exit 34. Michael will be there. Semi-truck tire explosion. Jackknife. Must keep him home. Must not let him leave at normal time. 10:15. Everything changes at 10:15. Michael's hands are shaking as he takes the journal from her. He flips back through pages, seeing Tanya's entries. Small predictions mixed with larger ones, all dated, all specific. There's something else, Tanya says, her voice barely above a whisper. Something I haven't told you yet. Michael looks up at her, and the expression on her face terrifies him. The visions. They're getting stronger, more frequent, and 3 days ago, I saw something else. She reaches for the journal, turning to the very last page. I didn't want to write this one down. I thought maybe if I didn't acknowledge it, it wouldn't be real. But it's been in my head constantly. I can't shake it. Michael reads the date on the page. Friday, October 20th, 3 days from now. And below it, in Tanya's handwriting, shaking and barely legible, Dr. Morrison, 3:30 p.m., test results, impossibility. What does that mean? Michael asks. Impossibility? If you're still watching at this point, drop a comment with, I'm enjoying this story. Let's see who's truly following this beautiful story. Tanya's face crumbles. I don't know. That's the problem. Usually the knowledge is clear, but this one, it's fuzzy. All I know is that we're going to Dr. Morrison's office on Friday at 3:30. He's going to tell us something about test results. And whatever he tells us, it's impossible. That's the only word my brain can find for it. Impossible. Michael's mind races. Test results? But we haven't taken any tests yet. We missed the appointment this morning. I know. That's what makes it so strange. Tanya wipes her eyes. But I've learned not to question these things. They happen. They always happen. So somehow, between now and Friday, we're going to take tests. And we're going to get results. And those results are going to be impossible. Tanya, you're scaring me. I'm scared too, she admits, because when I think about Friday, when I try to see past that appointment, everything goes blank. It's like there's a wall there. I can't see anything beyond it. I don't know if that means something terrible happens, or if it just means something changes so drastically that my visions can't penetrate past it. Michael closes the journal and pulls Tanya into his arms. She fits against him the way she always has, but everything feels different now. The world has shifted beneath his feet. Okay, he says finally. Okay, let's say I believe you. Let's say this is all real. What do we do? I don't know, Tanya whispers. My grandmother spent her whole life trying to change things, trying to prevent the tragedies she saw. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes her interference made things worse. There was an entry about a building fire. She called in a bomb threat to evacuate everyone, and she was arrested. The fire happened anyway, but everyone was safe because of the evacuation. She spent 6 months in jail for it. Did she ever figure out the rules? How it works? She wrote that there aren't really rules, or if there are, they're inconsistent. Some things seem fixed. They're going to happen no matter what. Other things have multiple possible outcomes, different paths depending on the choices made. She called it reading the branches of the tree. Some branches are solid, some are flexible. Michael's phone buzzes. A text from Dr. Morrison's office. We heard about the accident on Highway 52. We hope everyone is safe. Please call to reschedule your appointment. He shows the text to Tanya. Should we reschedule? Friday, Tanya says immediately. 3:30 p.m. I know it sounds crazy, but we need that specific appointment time. That's when, whatever it is, happens. How do you know they'll have that slot open? Tanya gives him a sad smile. Because they will. That's how these things work. All the pieces fall into place to make the vision come true. Michael calls the office, and sure enough, they have an opening Friday at 3:30. Their last appointment of the day, actually, usually booked, but there was a cancellation this morning. As Michael confirms the appointment, he watches his wife, this woman he thought he knew completely, and realizes he's only been seeing the surface. How many times over the past 3 months has she quietly altered their plans, steered them away from danger, kept secrets that would sound insane if spoken aloud? There's one more thing, Tanya says after he hangs up, about the visions. They come with a price. What kind of price? She pulls up her sleeve, revealing her inner forearm. There are marks there, small, dark spots that look almost like bruises, scattered across her skin in no particular pattern. They appeared after the first vision. More show up with each new one. My grandmother had them too. There are photos in the journal. She shows him a faded photograph tucked between pages. An elderly woman with kind eyes and arms covered in similar marks, like she's been marked by shadows. Does it hurt? Michael asks, gently touching her arm. No, but I can feel them. Like each spot is a moment of future knowledge burned into my skin. A reminder of the burden. She covers her arm again. My grandmother's final entry in this journal was written 2 days before she died. She predicted her own death, wrote about it calmly, like she was writing a grocery list. She said the marks eventually cover everything, and when there's no more space left, when you're completely marked by the future, she doesn't finish the sentence. She doesn't need to. How many visions have you had? Michael asks, suddenly terrified of the answer. 37, Tanya says quietly. 37 marks. My grandmother had hundreds by the end. I counted them in the photos. Michael pulls her close again, his mind struggling to accept this new reality. His wife can see the future. His wife is marked by fate itself. And in 3 days, they're going to Dr. Morrison's office to learn something impossible. We'll figure this out, he says, though he has no idea how. Together. We'll figure out what Friday means, what this impossibility is, and we'll deal with it, whatever it is. Tanya nods against his chest, but he can feel her trembling, because she knows something he doesn't. She has knowledge in her head that she hasn't shared yet. Michael, she whispers, there's one more thing about Friday's vision. What? After we leave Dr. Morrison's office, after we learn this impossible thing, I saw us in the car. We're both crying, but they're not sad tears. She pulls back to look at him, her eyes full of something he can't quite read. They're happy tears mixed with terrified ones, joy and fear all tangled together. And I'm holding something, but I can't see what it is. Every time I try to focus on it, the image blurs. That's good though, right? Happy tears? I don't know, Tanya admits, because I've never had a vision that felt like this before. All the others were clear, either good or bad, success or failure. But this one is both. This one is everything all at once, and it terrifies me more than anything else I've ever seen. The next 3 days pass in a strange suspension of normalcy. Michael calls in sick to work, unable to imagine focusing on spreadsheets and meetings when his entire understanding of reality has been upended. Tanya moves through the house like a ghost, checking and rechecking her journal, as if the words might change if she looks away too long. On Wednesday evening, Michael finds her standing at the kitchen window, staring at their neighbor's house. What do you see? He asks gently. Nothing, she says, and he can hear the relief in her voice. Sometimes nothing is the best thing I can see. That night, Michael lies awake studying the marks on Tanya's arm while she sleeps. 37. He counts them himself, these strange shadows on her skin that serve as a ledger of impossible knowledge. He thinks about her grandmother, covered in hundreds of these marks by the end. A life lived knowing too much, seeing too far ahead, bearing the weight of a gift nobody wanted. He thinks about the price of prophecy. Thursday morning, Tanya gasps awake at 3:17 a.m. Michael bolts up right beside her, his heart racing. What? What is it? But Tanya just stares at the ceiling, tears streaming down her temples into her hair. Nothing bad, she whispers. For once, nothing bad. Jennifer from my work. She's going to get engaged today. Her boyfriend is planning to propose at sunset at Riverside Park. She's going to say yes. That's good news, Michael says carefully. It is, Tanya agrees. But I'll have another mark tomorrow. Another piece of the future burned into my skin. Good news, bad news, it doesn't matter. The marks come regardless. She rolls over, pressing her face into Michael's chest, and he holds her while she cries for the future she can see and the present that keeps slipping away. Friday arrives with deceptive normalcy. The sun rises, birds sing. Their alarm goes off at 7 a.m. as usual. They go through the motions of breakfast. Toast for him, yogurt for her. Neither really tasting the food. The appointment isn't until 3:30, but the day feels like an endless countdown. At 2:45 they get in the car. The same car that nearly became Michael's tomb on Tuesday. Tanya insisted they take it anyway. It's not the car's fault, she'd said. And besides, I haven't seen anything bad about today. Just impossible. The drive to Dr. Morrison's office is quiet. Michael keeps glancing at Tanya, watching for signs of distress, but she seems oddly calm. Resigned, maybe, like a person walking toward their fate because fighting it would be pointless. They arrive at 3:22, 8 minutes early. The waiting room is empty except for them, the last appointment of the day, just as Tanya predicted. The receptionist checks them in with a smile. Dr. Morrison will be right with you, she says warmly. He mentioned he wanted to speak with you both personally. Tanya's hand finds Michael's, squeezing tight. He can feel her trembling slightly. 5 minutes later, they're called back. Dr. Morrison is a kind-faced man in his late 50s who greets them with a warm handshake and a curious expression. Mr. and Mrs. Chen, he says, settling behind his desk. I have to say, when my colleague Dr. Stevens called me about your case earlier this week, I was intrigued. Dr. Stevens? Michael asks, confused. Yes, you saw her 2 months ago at City General Hospital, correct? For the initial fertility consultation before you were referred to me. Tanya nods slowly. Yes, but that was just a preliminary appointment. She ran some basic tests and said we'd need to see a specialist. That's why we made the appointment with you. Dr. Morrison opens a file folder on his desk. Dr. Stevens sent over your complete medical history and all the test results from that visit. I've spent the last 2 days reviewing everything very carefully. He pauses, looking between them with an expression that seems almost apologetic. Mrs. Chen, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Tanya's grip on Michael's hand tightens. Okay. When was your last menstrual period? Tanya's brow furrows. I'm not sure. They've been irregular for years. That's part of why we've had trouble conceiving. Why? Dr. Morrison pulls out a sheet of paper covered in medical terminology and numbers. Because according to the blood work Dr. Stevens ran 2 months ago, you were already pregnant at the time of that appointment. The room goes completely silent. Michael feels like the air has been sucked out of his lungs. That's impossible. The test was negative. Dr. Stevens said. Dr. Stevens made an error. Dr. Morrison interrupts gently. A significant one, I'm afraid. She ordered a standard urine pregnancy test, which came back negative. But she also ordered comprehensive blood work to check your hormone levels, thyroid function, and other fertility markers. Those blood results showed elevated HCG levels, a clear indicator of pregnancy. But because the urine test was negative, and because Mrs. Chen's medical history showed multiple barriers to conception, Dr. Stevens dismissed the blood results as a lab error and never followed up. Tanya has gone completely pale. But I've been taking my temperature every morning, tracking my ovulation. We've been timing everything perfectly for years. How could I have been pregnant 2 months ago without knowing? It's rare, but it happens, Dr. Morrison explains. Some women have irregular HCG production in early pregnancy, which can cause false negatives on urine tests, even when blood tests would show positive. Combined with your history of irregular periods and fertility issues, it's understandable that you wouldn't have suspected pregnancy. 2 months ago, Tanya whispers, and Michael can see her mind working, calculating. That would make me approximately 10 weeks pregnant now, Dr. Morrison confirms. When Dr. Stevens sent me your file earlier this week, I noticed the discrepancy immediately. I called her, and we reviewed the results together. She was mortified, of course. The error was entirely on her end for not following up on the elevated HCG levels. Michael's head is spinning. But Tanya hasn't had any symptoms. No morning sickness, no weight gain, nothing. Again, not uncommon, Dr. Morrison says. Some women experience very mild first trimester symptoms, especially with a first pregnancy. And Mrs. Chen, you mentioned you've been under significant stress lately. Tanya nods mutely, and Michael thinks about the visions, the marks on her skin, the weight of seeing the future. Stress can mask pregnancy symptoms, Dr. Morrison continues. Your body's other responses to stress can overshadow the subtle signs of early pregnancy. If you're still watching at this point, drop a comment with, "I'm enjoying this story." Let's see who's truly following this beautiful story. But wait, Michael says, his scientific mind struggling to catch up. If Tanya was pregnant 2 months ago, and we've been trying to conceive this whole time, then all those carefully timed attempts were unnecessary. Dr. Morrison finishes with a kind smile. You had already succeeded. Tanya makes a sound, something between a laugh and a sob. The visions, she whispers, they started 3 months ago, right around when I would have conceived. Michael looks at her sharply, understanding flooding through him. You think they're connected? The pregnancy and the visions? My grandmother, Tanya says, still looking dazed. In her journal, she wrote that her visions started when she was pregnant with my mother. She thought it was just coincidence, but what if it wasn't? What if pregnancy somehow activated something? Dr. Morrison clears his throat. I'm not sure I follow, but right now we need to focus on the immediate situation. Mrs. Chen, I'd like to do an ultrasound today to confirm the pregnancy and check on the baby's development. Given that you've been unaware of your condition, I want to make sure everything is progressing normally. The word baby seems to finally break through Tanya's shock. Her free hand moves instinctively to her stomach, her eyes wide. I'm pregnant, she says, as if testing the words. I'm actually pregnant. According to all the evidence, yes, Dr. Morrison confirms. Michael feels tears pricking his eyes. 4 years. 4 years of hoping, trying, failing. 4 years of watching Tanya's heartbreak month after month. And all this time, for the past 2 months, their miracle had already happened. This is what you saw, he says to Tanya. The impossibility. It was impossible for you to be pregnant. Every doctor said so. Your medical history, the endometriosis, the hormone imbalances, they all said natural conception was virtually impossible. And yet here we are, Tanya says, laughing and crying at the same time, exactly as she'd predicted. 20 minutes later, Tanya is lying on an examination table, her shirt pulled up, warm gel spread across her stomach. Michael stands beside her, holding her hand, both of them staring at the ultrasound monitor with bated breath. The technician moves the wand slowly across Tanya's abdomen, and suddenly, the room fills with a sound like galloping horses, fast and strong and unmistakable. There's your baby, the technician says, pointing to the screen. Michael has seen ultrasound images before, friends' pregnancy announcements on social media, pictures in pregnancy books they'd studied hopefully. But nothing prepared him for this moment, for seeing this specific tiny form on the screen, this specific rapidly beating heart. Their baby, their impossible, miraculous baby. Heartbeat is strong and steady, the technician continues, measuring and clicking. Baby measures right at 10 weeks, 2 days. Everything looks perfect. Perfect, Tanya echoes, tears streaming down into her hair. After all this time, after everything we've been through, perfect. Dr. Morrison steps closer to review the images. Mrs. Chen, Mr. Chen, I want to be clear about something. While Dr. Stevens made an error in not following up on the blood results, the pregnancy itself appears to be progressing beautifully. The baby is developing exactly as expected for 10 weeks. You have nothing to worry about from the medical standpoint. But I didn't know, Tanya says, her voice catching. I didn't know I was pregnant. I've been drinking coffee, taking my fertility medications. I even had a glass of wine last week at my friend's birthday. All in very early pregnancy, and all in moderation, I assume, Dr. Morrison asks gently. When Tanya nods, he continues, then no harm done. Many women don't realize they're pregnant until much later. The baby is clearly thriving. Michael watches that tiny heartbeat pulsing on the screen, and something shifts inside him. All the fear, all the confusion about Tanya's visions, all the terror of the truck accident. It all suddenly makes sense. You were protecting our baby, he says to Tanya. When you kept me from leaving the house on Tuesday, you couldn't see past this moment because this moment changes everything. From this point forward, we're not just us anymore. We're parents. Tanya turns her face toward him, and in her eyes he sees the same realization. The marks on my arm, she whispers, they're not a curse, they're a gift. They let me save you. They let me make sure you'd be here for this. Your grandmother saved her sister from that plane crash, Michael says, remembering the journal entry. She couldn't save everyone, but she saved the people she could. And you saved me. You saved our family before we even knew we were going to be a family. The ultrasound technician prints out several images and hands them to Tanya. Michael stares at the pictures, grainy black and white photos of the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. We're having a baby, Tanya says, her voice filled with wonder. We're having a baby, Michael repeats, and the words feel like a prayer, like a promise, like the answer to every desperate wish they've made over the past 4 years. They leave Dr. Morrison's office an hour later with a folder full of information, a prescription for prenatal vitamins, and a new appointment scheduled for Tanya's 12-week checkup. The sun is setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, just like Tanya had seen. In the car, Michael carefully places the ultrasound images on the dashboard where he can see them. All this time, he says softly, we were trying so hard to make it happen, and it had already happened. That's the thing about miracles, Tanya replies, her hand resting on her stomach. Sometimes they're so quiet you don't even notice them until they announce themselves. Michael thinks about the past week, the visions that seemed like madness, the truck that almost killed him, the marks on Tanya's skin that serve as a map of moments yet to come. And now this, the impossible pregnancy that was real all along. Do you think the visions will stop now? He asks. Now that you know what they were leading up to? Tanya looks at her arm, at the 38 marks scattered across her skin. I don't know. Maybe they're not just about this moment. Maybe they're about protecting this baby, keeping our family safe. My grandmother's visions lasted her whole life. But she also lived her whole life alone with the burden, Michael points out. You have me now. Whatever you see, whatever comes next, we face it together. Tanya reaches for his hand. Together, she agrees. They sit in the parking lot for a while longer, watching the sky darken. Two people who came seeking answers and found something better, hope. We should call our families, Michael says eventually. My mom is going to lose her mind. She's been asking about grandchildren for years. Your mom is going to have questions about why we didn't know sooner, Tanya points out. We tell them the truth. There was a mix-up with the tests. We just found out today. We don't have to tell them about. He gestures vaguely, indicating the visions, the marks, all the impossible things they now carry. Some truths are too big to share, Tanya agrees. This one, the baby, this truth we can share. The rest stays with us. Michael starts the car, but before pulling out, he takes one more look at the ultrasound images. 10 weeks and 2 days. Their child, growing quietly while they searched desperately for what they'd already found. I love you, he tells Tanya. You and this baby, my whole impossible family. I love you too, she says, even when you don't listen to me and almost get yourself killed. They drive home as the first stars appear, carrying their secret, their miracle, their future. The marks on Tanya's arm will never disappear, but she understands them now. They're not a curse, they're a mother's gift, the ability to see danger before it arrives, to protect what matters most. The visions continue over the coming months, though Tanya learns to live with them. She sees small things, a neighbor's accident prevented, a friend's crisis averted. She stops trying to explain and simply acts, making phone calls, offering warnings disguised as concerns, gently steering people away from harm. Michael's mother cries happy tears when they tell her about the baby. Tanya's father laughs in disbelief and immediately starts planning the nursery. Friends who knew about their fertility struggles call it a miracle, and Tanya and Michael smile and agree, knowing they have no idea how right they are. At 20 weeks, they learn they're having a girl. At 30 weeks, Tanya has a vision of the birth, complicated but safe, ending with a healthy baby and grateful parents. At 38 weeks and 3 days, exactly as Tanya saw, their daughter arrives. 7 pounds, 6 ounces of perfect, impossible miracle. They name her Hope because that's what she represents. Hope after heartbreak, light after darkness, the impossible made real. And when Michael holds his daughter for the first time, when he looks into her tiny face and sees his future reflected there, he thinks about that Tuesday morning, about Tanya screaming in the car, about the truck that almost killed him, about every moment that led to this one. Sometimes the impossible happens. Sometimes fate reaches down and rewrites the rules. Sometimes screaming desperately at your husband in the car saves his life and reveals a truth that changes everything. And sometimes, just sometimes, the miracle you've been begging for has been there all along, growing quietly in the dark, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. 2 years later, when Hope takes her first steps, Tanya sees another vision, this one distant, decades away. She sees her daughter grown, sees her own grandchildren, sees a future bright with possibility. The marks on her arm have multiplied, covering her forearms now, creeping toward her elbows. Michael kisses them sometimes. These shadows of futures seen and prevented, these badges of a mother's love that extends into tomorrow. They never did make it to that original appointment with Dr. Morrison. The truck accident, the discovery of the pregnancy, it all happened because of the missed appointment, the error, the impossible timing. Tanya's grandmother was right. The branches of fate are sometimes fixed, sometimes flexible. The trick is knowing which is which, and having the courage to bend the ones you can. Do you ever regret it? Michael asks one night, watching Tanya rock Hope to sleep. The visions, the marks, the burden of knowing? Tanya looks down at their daughter, at this impossible miracle they created, at the life they built from heartbreak and hope. Never, she says, because this burden saved you. It brought us here. It gave us her. And really, what more could anyone ask for? If you made it to the end of this incredible journey, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment telling me what you thought of this story. Did it surprise you? Did it move you? Share your thoughts below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and join our community of story lovers. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and share it with someone who appreciates stories that challenge everything we think we know about what's possible. See you in the next story.